the podcast. Whoa. Oh, right. Hey everyone, it's the middle of the year. It's been 5 months of the year out of 12, which is how long a year normally goes for. Which means that we're halfway through the year. We're going to talk about some of the best games we've played that have come out this year. Some of the best games we've played that honorable mention that maybe came out not this year. And then also talk about, where Metacritic's at on some of the best released games that we've missed and want to go back to, and also talk about some of the delays that have happened for games that were heavily anticipated to come out this year and are no longer going to do that. So let's get started. Jeremy, I think I want you to kick this off.
Yeah?
I think so, yeah. What are some of the best games that you've played from 2022?
Okay. I have 3 here.
Okay.
My number 3 currently is the Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga.
Nice.
Now, I'm going to say, I think this game is really cool. I've spoken about this in length in the past, especially recently last week when we spoke about Star Wars. Go check that out. If you just want to hear the Star Wars segment, you can go on YouTube and that's clipped out. I think I want to talk about abroad about how I sort of was struggling to get this list a little bit. Not for the lack of playing games, but I just haven't loved many games this year yet.
They're washing over you. They're just
a little bit. I really, really liked Horizon. I really, really like Elden Ring. I don't know if I love Elden Ring. I really, really like Stranger of Paradise in its own weird way.
Yeah, you were always going to like that, though.
I've enjoyed my time so far, which is granted not a lot, with Gran Turismo. But there is not many games that I'm loving yet. I haven't found my one. There is one maybe that I need to put more time into before I put it on the list, and I do want to get to that more this week. Called Citizen Sleeper.
I've heard about that. What is that game? I've just heard its name. What is it?
It is kind of Disco Elysium set in space a little bit. It is a game where you're rolling dice and doing checks to get through a campaign. Cool. You're a robot that wakes up on a space station, and you sort of get put to work, and there's capitalism critique and there's stories, and I need to play more. I need to sink my teeth into it before I have an opinion or really want to go into it. But that is very high on my priority list of is this a game made for me? But yeah, I really quite like the Lego Star Wars game, but I also don't love it. But it's currently my number 3. That and Horizon, I think, are my two number 3s.
And they're probably some of the games you've played the most this year, right?
Sort of. I've been bouncing a bit. I've been struggling to find a game from this year that I really want to fall all the way into. I tried Jet the Far Shore. I played some whatever that game that I spoke about the other day with the breaking down buildings. What's it called?
Oh, Teardown.
Teardown. I've downloaded Norco. I haven't given it a go. I played a little bit of Loot River. I've played a bunch, but I haven't fallen into anything yet.
Jeremy, do you think this is partly because of your new work schedule, where you are now you're almost full-time employee. You do 4 instead of 5 days a week. But you have much less time than you used to do this stuff. And I think it's fair to say that, when June got their full-time job in 2019, that had a pretty big effect on how they played with and interacted with games in general. So how do you think that's part of what's going on here, or?
I think I've actually just been watching a lot of TV shows because I keep wanting to watch Better Call Saul.
That's true. You've been
And
talking up a lot of Severance. No, not Severance.
Severance
Succession.
is one of them. Succession is another one. Like I've been watching a lot of TV, and I don't think it's a like I don't have time to play games sort of thing. I think it's just like I fell off TV for about 2 or 3 years,
Right.
and I've started to catch up on shows again, and I've just had less time to do both. As well as, you know, like there's all the Star Wars shows and the Marvel shows that just won't stop fucking coming out. And there's,
Yep.
and, you know, and the other day I'm like, oh, do I want to read comics again? And I'm like, I do, but like, I don't know if I can commit to that. But also I've played a lot of hours of Vampire Survivors, which we'll get to we'll get to very soon, but I have played a lot of hours of that.
Yep, totally.
So I don't think it's quite the same thing. I think it's just more I've just been doing other things that I haven't done for quite a while.
Yeah. I had to have that talk with myself where it was like, what have I been doing where I'm like not playing games with friends and I'm not getting much time with this and I wanted to try this but I haven't gotten to it yet, and why is my backlog so big? And I realized it's because I was spending at least half of, if not more than half of my like recreation time just on YouTube, just watching like NL play Fortnite because he did that for the 1 week, and then like I was watching him play Binding of Isaac today, unironically, just watching him do that, and it was great. But I had to have the talk with myself where it's like, if you want to play more games, you need to put more time into playing games and actively do that. It's why I sit down on the weekend and it's like, all right, go for a walk, do some dishes, maybe prep a meal. And then, sit down in the afternoon. It's like, all right, what are you going to play? You're going to play something. What is it going to be? And that's why I chose Judgment, because I was like, if I don't finish it this weekend, like, when am I going to go back to this game? And then it'll be hanging over me like the sword of Damocles for the next 12 months. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, it's tricky.
What's one of your games of the year currently, Kerry?
I'm really fond of Arceus, Pokemon Legends Arceus, and it's the kind of game I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get back to it. But also, I did put in a couple of dozen hours already, and I know what it is, and there are more games that I want to play. So the question becomes, do I prioritize playing more Arceus and filling out my Pokedex, or getting to new stuff that I haven't been able to try yet? And we'll get to my games under the category games we missed or want to go back to. My list is quite large because I've missed a lot of games because I played Elden Ring for 3 months straight. But like, do I want to go back to Arceus and catch things for 2 hours and then sort them for 2 hours?
Oh.
I kind of do, Jeremy. I kind of do. Unironically, I swear, I really dug that game.
And you know what? You're not the only one. Not me, but a lot of other people.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny how divisive that game ended up being. But, like, mildly divisive. Although I guess it's a Pokemon game, so it's not that surprising.
Mildly divisive.
Well, it's not, like, really high on it, really hate it. I feel like it's a lot of, like, yeah, it's really good. Or, like, it's not my thing. Which is a kind of moderation you don't normally see in the Pokemon community, I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, another one I've got in here is like Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. That's partly because I just haven't played that many games that have come out this year. And I liked this one, and it is one of them. It's like one of 4. So that's just kind of in there, but like, we don't need to talk about it. We need to address the elephant in the room though, Jeremy.
The Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors.
And part of this elephant is that the date stamp on it says entered early access in December 2021.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's an interesting little wrinkle. But it really didn't gain any traction until January. It's only been on people's radars this year, and it's the kind of thing I think we are going to see it on people's Game of the Year lists this year.
And I will say that I think, for me at least, my Game of the Year starts when you hit full release. When you go into full release, when you go into full release is when I need to then start to consider you for Game of the Year, only because I have played games in the past that were in early access which were good and then became not good.
Mm-hmm.
and I think you need to judge it on a 1.0 type release. Like when
like PUBG.
Exactly like PUBG. When you decide it's released is when I'm going to start being critical of you. Rather.
Oh man, and boy was that true of PUBG. Tell you what.
Yep.
Well, it's funny though, right? Because it hit 1.0 at the end of 2017. No, is that right?
2016.
No, 1.0. It only entered early access in 2017. Was it at the end of that year or end of 2018? I can't remember.
2017 is when it hit earlier. When it hit 1.0 because we were still at uni.
Right. Okay. Just barely. I would say it was my game of the year from everything we played prior to it, though. Like, we didn't hit the highest with PUBG after 2017. It was just on a bit of a... And it was... We played hundreds of hours of that game that year. So for me, that counted. And so in that regard, if Vampire Survivors doesn't hit 1.0 this year, I would still include it in the conversation.
Sure, yeah, and
personally,
yeah, it's a personal thing. I will personally wait, but that's fine.
But also, it's maybe the game you've played the most this year.
Maybe it's
Well,
so it's close, but between that Apex, maybe
Cannonball Horizon.
Yeah, maybe Horizon. I played more Elden Ring than Horizon, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of games, turns out.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a
great
darling,
game. What a
it's an amazing
sick game.
It's so simple. It's just
so simple.
You automatically attack things that get close to you, and the things that get close to you become larger in number and stronger, and you become stronger. Yeah. And the graphics are lots, and the sounds are lots, and the numbers go up, and the timer goes up, and it's so refined and simple, but it's good.
Like, you've got a maximum of half an hour. Like, runs are no longer than 31 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There are upgrades. There are evolutions for your upgrades, and there's a maximum you hit on those per run.
There's new characters. There's roguelite progression.
There's tons of characters. There's like 25 or 30 characters in this game.
Really?
There's a ton. I keep getting fucking more.
Wow. Okay. I've got like 12.
There's like 7 stages.
Yeah, something like that now.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're constantly updating it.
Yeah.
They've even got a joke about NFTs in there.
Yeah. Yes.
It's great.
There's a dog. It's great. Ponkel is the name of the developer.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
Ponkel.
Like, what game is this?
I looked at that for the first time just now.
Ponkel.
Ponkel.
I must have seen that, but I completely disregarded it.
Right?
That's funny. And then the other elephant, although I'd say in this conversation it would be a smaller elephant, is Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
Is it on your list, Jeremy?
It's number 2.
Number 2.
Currently.
It's a good one.
I will say it's currently my number 2 below Vampire Survivors, but it is also number 1 on my list of games that I need to go back to.
Interesting. Okay. That is good context. Do you want to expound on that?
I should finish the game.
Yes, you should. Especially because if you mainlined it, you're actually pretty close.
Yeah.
You may not want to mainline it.
Yeah, I just sort of do whatever I want, to be completely honest.
And that game is great for that. That game is fantastic for that. That game is its best when you do that. And that kind of comes into why and how it is on my list, which is that I didn't get to play that game the way I would play it. Right? I played all of Limgrave, which is very dense. I played all of Limgrave probably about 3 times.
It's the densest part of the game.
It is. And that exploration is pristine. It's lovely. I absolutely adore it in that area. And then I just bounced from main dungeon to main dungeon because that was the work I needed to do. And that's not a terrible way to play the game. And I saw a lot of the content and I finished the game. I don't know if I would have finished this game by now if I didn't have to do that for work. But it has meant that, like, a lot of these things I didn't get to discover. It was like, I finished this, I'm like, okay, what's the next thing in terms of, like, the campaign, that is like going to be searched most. It was an impersonal playthrough. And that's just the way it is. But it does mean that I feel like I haven't had a true Elden Ring experience in some ways. I haven't experienced it in the way that I would have if I played it differently, obviously. But I think it's hard to say. I think it does something. I think it's another really unique entry for From Software. I think it's in a way that's not like, oh, Bloodborne's great, but Bloodborne's still fucking hard. It's so hard. And Sekiro is different and uncompromising as well. Elden Ring...
Sekiro is harder.
Yeah, right? Elden Ring is so approachable in a way that many FromSoft games haven't been in a long time. So customizable, so... there's so many different ways you can approach different objectives and so many different ways you can build your character and different weapon sets and an easier ability to change your character as you go forward and so many different ways that you can decide to progress that I think it's a real achievement in that regard. Just how strong it is in being able to give the players the choice to do whatever they want to do in that world and play however they want to play. I think it's a real achievement in that regard.
Yeah, you remember we were having conversations about what if I hate it, because there's a lot of open world games that I really hate.
Yeah. Or games that have become open world that you like less.
And they made an open world game that I should hate, but I love it because they made it so well, right?
Yep.
Like they went all the way past me hating it to bringing me around to really liking it.
They pulled you out of the hate valley.
Yes. Yeah. There's the uncanny valley, and then there's the Jeremy hates this valley.
The hatred valley.
Yeah. There's a lot of games that sit in there.
PUBG's at the bottom.
Yeah, PUBG, Halo, they're all in there. Infinite specifically. They did something truly special. I like Bloodborne more.
Yep. And I think that's fair. And honestly, I think you might maybe always. I don't know if they're ever going to make a game that does that again.
Yeah, it's the one.
It is Neo.
Yeah, no, I think, like, I don't know. I think it's like a lot of their games are more than the sum of their parts, but I think Bloodborne is the most more than the sum of its parts. Slap that on the box.
The most more than
the sum of its parts. Yeah, I think it does. It hits higher highs, I think, than a game structured like Elden Ring can. It came fucking close, but it's just a different thing. And I think when you compare them side by side, I think for me, Bloodborne just like it touches God in that way, right? Like
remember, you already played this last year. It's so funny how impressive it is.
Yeah. Elden Ring reached for the stars, and Bloodborne, got into heaven.
Bloodborne ascended.
Yeah.
And then last thing on my list of best games we've played this year is an honorable mention, because it's a game that hasn't come out this year, and regular listeners will know the answer to this already, but it's Persona 5 Royal. I can't get over how much I'm enjoying this game right now. Like, Sam and I, we're not quite at this level. We're like one step down from like screaming at the TV. I've yelled out a couple of times with like plot reveals and us discussing mysteries and talking about it while Sam's at work, like on their lunch break. We're like messaging about the plot from the previous night. Like it's fun being able to share that with Sam, but like even if I was playing this on my own, it's so good. It's so good. Like it's just so good. Like it's hard for me to describe. And also, Royal's 2.5 years old. The main game's 5 years old at this point. It's been said to death. But man, if you enjoy JRPGs, give yourself a treat if you haven't gotten to this one already. Like, oh man, and it's funny when I think back to how I initially spoke about it when I started playing it for the podcast.
Yeah,
and talking about how they just jump into those themes really recklessly, and they do at the start. It's really maybe too intense at the start. But man, the way it develops and the connection and the attachment I feel to these characters in this world is it's been a long time since something new has grabbed me like this.
Right. Cool. That's good. That's fun.
It's sick. So that's what we've been playing, and they're some of the best games we've played this year.
And just to quickly addendum to that, my honorable mention for games that I've been playing a ton that I've been playing that is not come out this year is Disco Elysium. I think once again, regular listeners will know this, but it's for me. It is a once in a generation story for games. This one, I can't get over just how beautifully it's written. It's like it's the closest thing I think games have come to poetry.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, should play more.
PlayStation Plus subscribers, it is currently 45% off for you at the moment. So if you want to get it for $33.
$33 plus the cost of the PlayStation Plus.
Plus the cost of the PlayStation Plus, that's right. I've been sitting on it because oh, am I going to play it? I just need to buy it. I'm just going to do it. But at the same time, I haven't yet. So moving on, we're going to talk about what some of the best games that have come out this year are in terms of the Metacritic responses. Now, we went and combed through the list because, for example, if we read out the top 10 of these, let me just give you a little taste of the top 5. Number 1 at 96 is Elden Ring for PlayStation 5. Number 2 at 96 is Elden Ring for Xbox Series X. Number 3 on PC at 94 is Elden Ring. And then it's Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe at 93, and then God of War on PC. So we've combed this down to actually games that have come out this year, and not every single release of them that have come out this year as well.
Yeah.
And this is sort of just some of these is like Elden Ring's here.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see, surprise X didn't make it, or interesting that this is here. So let's go through these. Top to bottom, Jeremy, what do you reckon? Top to bottom or bottom to top?
Top to bottom.
Top to bottom. Starting at the top, the best game of the year. I did already spoil it. It is Elden Ring. 96 on PS5 and Xbox Series X, 94 on PC.
I don't think there's any surprise about that at all.
No, so much universal acclaim.
Yep.
And then all of the people you see on Twitter who are picking it up and are 30 hours into it, still in Limgrave, loving it. Loving playing it their own way. It is that much more approachable now, where it has hit that mainstream appeal and it isn't bucking people off immediately.
Yeah.
It is good. Second on the list is the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Bit of debate on whether we should include this on my end, but Jeremy informs me that it's much more than just a remaster with new content. It is quite robust of a edition.
I would say it's close to a. I haven't played it. I will say, and I've been avoiding playing it I've been avoiding looking at stuff until I play it. But from my understanding, it is not unlike Persona 5 Royal in terms of editions, which I would include.
Yes, Royal is okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So the base game is in there. The original stuff is in there, but there is much more to do that makes it more robust. Yep. The scores for that is 93 on Xbox, 91 on PS5, 90 on PC, 87 on Switch. And the scores balancing out just because different people review on different platforms, and then that balances out differently. But, it was the second one on the list. So next up is Rogue Legacy 2, which has been in early access for a while. Finally came out about a month ago. It's 90 on Xbox, 88 on PC. It's been nearly 10 years since the first game came out. One of the original roguelikes that brought that genre back to the forefront during the indie boom back then. People say great things about this one. Obviously, it's third on the list on Metacritic. Horizon Forbidden West is on here, 88 on PS5 and PS4, I guess. What else we got? We got Ollie World at number 5. That's 87 on PC and Switch. 85 on Xbox Series X and 84 on PS5. Gran Turismo 7 is next at 87. Destiny 2 The Witch Queen expansion, 87 on PS5, 85 on PC and Xbox Series X. We've got Hard Space Shipbreaker, another game that's been out in early access for a while, but only came out last week, I think. That's 87 on PC. Number 9 is Tunic, 85 on PC, 84 on Xbox. And Kirby and the Forgotten Land, 85 on Switch. There's a couple here. Hard Space Shipbreaker is interesting. Do you know much about this game, Jeremy? I've seen it. I can tell you a bit about it if you don't.
Yeah, look, I saw it when it was being released into early access. And it's one of those games that, like, I've got like a running dock of games that I need to sort of keep an eye on. It's in there, but I haven't actually kept an eye on it like I was meant to.
Right, okay. I mean, me too. I haven't followed it since it came into early access, which is when it came across my radar. But it's this game where you're a salvage operator in space, and you have to like break down. You have to salvage broken down ships and what I'm trying to think of the word for, like, buildings, like utility buildings and stuff like that. You break down the walls and strip them for components, and it looks very interesting. I'm surprised it's so high, though. I'm surprised it's here.
People are really digging it. I think it's a slower burn. I think it's similar to a Deep Rock Galactic, maybe, where like it sort of came out to people liking it, and then slowly started to build up a bit of a community sort of thing.
That's cool.
But from all the reviews I've seen have been like pretty high, like 9s.
Yep, that's great. I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
What else we got here? Ollie World is another one that I didn't realize was quite so high. It's a skateboarding game. It's always been this 2D arcadey, almost like an evolution of a Flash game sort of deal. You got different courses, you got to collect the tokens as you go, and there's different paths, and the better you do tricks, the faster you go, and all of that. And this seems like this sort of evolution of that concept, where it's kind of mixing 2D and 3D concepts from what I've seen. I haven't seen much of it, though. Cool that it's here, though. There's a good number of indies in here for the first half of the year.
Yeah. Yep.
Games like Tunic, which did have a really big push from Xbox, but ultimately is still an independent game. Great that it's still here. I don't have a particular fondness to go back to that one, even after playing it for an hour or so.
I would like to, I think, before the end of the year, but I don't think I'm going to do that soon.
Yeah. When I tried it, I was mid Elden Ring, and all the buttons were different, but the combat was similar enough where I was like, oh no, I could feel my muscle memory unwinding. I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this right now. Stanley Parable being second here under Elden Ring, I don't think that's too surprising, considering how good the original is.
Yeah, right.
Is, that game is, it doesn't matter like that it was made in Source Engine like 10 years ago. It's not about that. Like, that game is such an experience.
Yeah, I am excited to play that. I think out of every game on this list that I haven't played, I think that's the one I'm most like I think about playing that, and I know I'm going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Like, I just know that it's going to be a delight. It's going to be so funny. Yep. It's going to be like...
And like the jokes that you've forgotten, and then the new stuff that you don't know yet.
Yeah, it's going to be surprising and exciting when I go through it. Are there in this list anything that you're surprised about? Anything that's you feel like should be higher? Maybe things that are not on the list.
I mean, Hard Space and Stanley Parable being up this high is one thing. Games that I am surprised aren't on the list, I think probably because of how highly I think of it, but I am a bit surprised that Arceus didn't crack the top 10. I think it's because like it sold fine because it's a Pokemon game, but I guess it didn't get that critical public reception and reviewer reception where it was positive across the board. It was more mixed, so it makes sense that it's not in the top 10 here.
And it runs like poo.
Yeah, but you can catch a Gyarados.
Do that in all of them.
you can catch all, and when you throw them out, they're big or they're small. They're as big or as small as you caught them. You ever put an Eevee next to a Rhyperion?
No,
It's very funny.
I'm sure.
It's very funny. It's hilarious. You should do it one time. But then Destiny 2, I guess, is another one where I'm like, you know what, Bungie? Keep getting it.
Yeah.
We have kind of fallen off that train, but like, go you guys. Keep feeding your community.
Yep. Yeah. Like yeah.
It's kind of hard to open the Destiny 2 can of worms. Like,
it
we
is,
might
right.
maybe best to keep a lid on it for this topic, but
And it's hard.
Bungie.
It's hard to want to buy a campaign that's going to get taken out of the game in 4 years. 3 years. Yeah.
What about you, Jeremy? Any surprises?
I don't know. I think. Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of the big ones are here, right? And I think we had a lot of big ones, and it was a very front-loaded year.
Well, here's the thing, right? How much of this is going to change before the end of the year, right?
How many of these are going to muscle their way in and completely shuffle it?
The only game I can see changing this list is maybe Call of Duty, depending on how good it is.
Really?
And
you don't think God of War Ragnarok can get in here?
I forgot that's coming out. Because I'm still not 100% sure that game's hitting this year.
I mean, true.
Okay,
signs are looking good for it, but yeah.
Yes. God of War will be in this list. I can see God of War bumping Horizon down and being up against Rogue Legacy 2, being at the 90, 89 mark, right? And that's based on just the past God of War. Look, Mario Strikers maybe can bump off Kirby, maybe Tunic.
Yes, Switch fight Switch.
I don't particularly think the new Pokemon games are going to be in the top 10. I don't think that I genuinely don't know how well Bayonetta reviews. I know because it's the third in a series, and I just don't know how well those kinds of games really go. Forspoken, I think, is going to be in the low 70s, to be completely honest with you. And Gotham Knights, I think, is going to be in the low 80s, if not high 70s.
If not lower, yeah. Just for context, Bayonetta 2 on Wii U when it came out got a 91 with a Metacritic Must Play badge.
Okay, cool. All right. And then I can maybe see that bumping down Oli Oli World, Gran Turismo, Destiny.
But you're right.
I don't know. I think this is there's a lot of unknown quantities in, the second God of War, to be completely honest, I think is a little bit of an unknown quantity.
Known, I would say so, yes.
No,
it seems quite...
I would say unknown. And I think,
really?
And I think only because God of War 1 was such a new thing. It felt fresh. It felt new. Actually, no, but the gameplay was really solid. It's probably going to be fine. It's probably going to be completely fine.
Yeah, honestly. And the gameplay looks, similar to what I was saying about Judgment,
the same,
right?
if not better, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Refined.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. I don't know. I think we can probably just call Metacritic right now what we think it's going to be. If we want we could build that list and it wouldn't look that different. And there might be one sleeper hit that we don't know about yet that's going to fall in and sort of disrupt the whole thing. But
if Forspoken is better than we think it is from looking at it, or if Saints Row just hits, even though it's a little buggy or a little raw,
didn't Saints Row get pushed till next year?
No, it got pushed till August. It's coming out soon.
Right.
It got pushed from it was going to be a week before Elden Ring or a week before something in March, and then it got pushed 6 months. But
right.
it's coming soon.
Right. Okay.
It's had previews and all of that. I think so. For me, we've got a small list here of games that we think are appropriate for that might get into this list. And we've just spoken around it a bit, but games that have a date, we've got Mario Strikers Battle League coming in next month, June, coming in a couple of weeks, actually.
Yep.
people excited about, but also it could go either way.
Yeah.
And then we've got Forspoken and Gotham Knights both coming out in October. And then you've got your normal Call of Duty, and there's a few other things in here. But yeah, Forspoken and Gotham Knights, I think, they're the
interesting ones.
Big, yeah, they're really big question marks. Like, we've seen them, but it's kind of the thing where it's like we look at them and it's like, I have no idea if we're going to love this or hate this. And it's kind of like the general industry feeling on it is like, well, I don't know, we'll see how it feels.
Yeah, I think neither of these are going to crack the top 10, and I don't think they're going to be close.
I want them to be able to, but I think you're right, unfortunately. Yeah. And then games that are missing a date. Bayonetta 3 is just 2022 at this point. So is God of War Ragnarok. We have been hearing more reports of it getting close. And then Pokemon Scarlet and Violet kind of came out of nowhere a couple of months ago. Is apparently happening for the end of the year, but we'll see.
I mean, look, they're happy to release games that run poorly, so it's going to hit. And
the other thing with Pokemon games is they're happy to release games that aren't too different from the previous ones.
That game's going to hit, and it's going to sell 1 million fucking copies, and it's going to be
twice.
Yeah, and it's going to be critically like capital G good.
Yeah, there'll be people saying, it's not as different as I wanted, but also they changed enough that it feels a bit different, and the fucking
the missed opportunities that they could have learned from Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah, we could probably write 60% of that review right now, and we haven't even seen the game. And Jeremy, I'm going to chuck this one in here. I'm going to chuck the last segment in here now.
Sure.
While we're talking about games that don't have a date or are supposed to be coming out this year, let's talk about games that we are each individually anticipating that were supposed to come out this year and have slipped, have been officially pushed. Some of these other ones that don't have dates, they might still qualify for this, but we don't know yet because they haven't been pushed. The ones that have been. Jeremy, your list, how long is it?
One game. I have a single game.
Uno.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it is, actually.
I would love your guess.
I don't think it's Redfall.
It's not Redfall. Only because I never saw that game being this year, and we haven't seen gameplay yet.
Like, people said, Redfall's not coming out this year. I was like, the game we only heard about once with a cinematic trailer? No way.
Right. Yeah, I remember when that game said that it was coming this year, and I looked at it and went like, you must be joking.
Yeah, like, good joke, haha. So it's either got to be Breath of the Wild or Starfall, and you didn't like Breath of the Wild.
It's true.
But also, like, you're not that keen on Bethesda games in general. I think it's
true.
Starfield from a morbid curiosity standpoint.
It is Starfield. Yes. And it is also from a morbid curiosity standpoint.
Yeah, it's just like, I want to know what this is, and I want to know what Bethesda Game Studios can do after 76.
Yeah, look, I'm glad they've delayed it. If they need more time, good. That's good and fine. We know this.
Kind of makes you wonder what the merit of setting a release date 18 months out really is.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just to stop people asking them questions for all of 2021 and all of 2022, but
I can tell you the reason. It's because they bought Bethesda and they need to say they're making games. And
you're right. They need to got them a better sale price.
And they need to say that they are fucking putting AAA games on Game Pass, and sometimes they slip.
In X many quarters.
And sometimes they slip a fair bit, and it's a bit of a shame. Yeah, look, I think 2022 was a thing that they always wanted to hit, and I think that is like that was the dream. That was the dream position, and they know that people now are a lot more finally lenient when it comes to release dates and delays. The silver lining of Cyberpunk is that people finally fucking got it.
I mean, I was literally just thinking about when I was working at EB Games during 2020, during the pandemic. At the time where it was at the point in time where they had people standing at the doorway to make sure there weren't too many people coming in.
I loved those shifts. It was easy money.
Yeah, just stand there and look around
and turn people away.
This is before
gaze into the shop and pretend
masks.
To count, and you're like, yeah, all right, you two can come. No, I'm sorry, you number 3, you got to stop. You three together. all right, you stay here. Next two come in. You three can come in. Just bullshit every time. Complete.
Yep.
Like just however I felt.
Yeah. But I remember someone walking past, and we had one of those. This was when Cyberpunk was meant to come out in April. So we had the April like cardboard cutout of V standing there, and like the game sit in the middle of whatever.
Yep.
And they said, "Oh, they delayed it until October. The bastards! Like, oh, the fuckers! They delayed it again. I can't believe they did this. I hate them." And I'm like, and this is just someone walking past. They didn't even come into the store, and I'm like, and this is something you're like. Like, humans are making this game that you are so looking forward to that you then become so angry about it that it's delayed. Like, what do you...
And, like, we do need to remember, like, the meme of the yellow background and the black text.
The apologies from Cyberpunk?
Yeah, like, and every time that image popped up on screen, I'm like, oh, it's a fucking delay. And more often than not, it was a joke. And then I would start to go, oh, look, someone's made another joke. And I'm like, they delayed it again?
Yep. And then it became apologies post-release for the state of the game, and then for refunds, and then
it was a whole thing. Yeah, look, Starfield is just very much a like I'm just curious about it. I don't know.
I wrote it in as Starfall on my list.
Yeah, you also said it as Starfall.
I apologize.
Redfall.
I'm sorry, Bethesda.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. That's the only game that I marginally cared about that slipped.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? I've got two on my list, and that is the same one, and it's the same thing. We haven't seen anything about it. I think we're going to see a lot of it at this coming Bethesda Xbox showcase.
We will see like a Fallout 4 style, like, hey, here's fucking 15, 16 minutes of a bunch of systems.
Well, remember, Fallout 4 was like a 40-minute demo when they did that, but that was only really? Bethesda and not Bethesda Xbox.
Yeah, right. Man, that was a good first conference for them.
Yeah, it was great. Probably their best one, honestly.
Oh, I loved the Bethesda Land one. I thought that was fun.
It was fun, but it didn't match the highs of that first conference.
Oh, yeah, it did, because it had Wolfenstein 2 and Prey.
Oh, yeah. Jeremy, did you play Prey?
Yeah.
Play it a lot?
Played it a bit.
I feel like I don't remember you talking about Prey.
It's scary.
The other game I've got on my list is Breath of the Wild, the sequel to the Breath of the Wild.
I am curious about that. I do hope that game... I hope I like that game.
Me too.
Yeah.
I hope
you are going to like this game.
Yeah, I no doubt will. It's exciting to think about what they can do to this, because it could be Breath of the Wild again, and that would, I think,
Breath of the Wild,
honestly, Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild 2. Honestly, that game has been played and played and replayed, and has been such a defining experience for so many people. For like half the people who own a Switch, like, it's such an incredible game. I think it needs to be a little bit different, because even the people who played the first one, they played it for 100 hours. You know what I mean? So it needs to be different. I hope they return to some form of better temples, more interesting. But it's going to be... I have no idea what they're going to do. Really,
yeah, right. And
or what direction they take it.
And how do you make a sequel to one of the most revolutionary games in the past 15 years, right? Like, how do you do a sequel to the game that managed to get Pokemon to change?
Yep.
Like,
that's a good point. Pokemon, it's filtered into Dark Souls, into God of War. Half the games on this list today for this year are directly influenced by Breath of the Wild.
And and that's not to say that open world games didn't exist, but like just not in this way and not in this fashion, right? Look at the Immortals Phoenix Rising, or even Genshin, right? Like the
Genshin Impact, yep.
The like, people are straight up lifting UI elements just because it's all just so refined.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't even like the game, and I'm saying that.
Totally. It's fascinating.
I'm sitting here saying, go back.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a defining experience for games in this last generation. Absolutely definitive. Yeah, we'll be talking about this game for as long as we've been talking about Ocarina of Time, honestly.
Maybe.
So you're right. How do they follow that up? You know, I don't think Majora's Mask ever got that same acclaim that Ocarina of Time did.
No.
But they made it incredibly different for what they could do with that engine and the assets and the time frame they had.
And they had a really fucked marketing campaign full of people thinking it was the end of the world. And it's really sad.
Yeah, turns out pretty accurate for what that game is.
Yeah, but like about real people, it was really sad. It's a very depressing marketing campaign.
Okay,
I'll show you later.
Yeah, no, that'd be funny. So then our last segment here is games we've missed or games that we want to go back to. That maybe we tried. Tunic would be here on my list if I wanted to go back to it, but I don't. Jeremy, how long is your list? And I'll tell you how long mine is.
4 games.
4 games. Okay, mine's 6.
Okay.
And there's a couple of short ones in here. So
you start.
First on my list, and I think this is in release order, roughly, is Sifu. We spoke about it when it came out. It's got a bit of... It landed some critique for being, a game developed about Asian culture and well, not mythology, but, around tropes and culture. Developed by a Western studio. That isn't great, really, ever.
Yeah.
And so that is a problem. However, it does still... It looks like such a refined combat system that I really just want to give it a go. Now that I'm out of Elden Ring, I want to give a shorter, very difficult combat game experience a go. Sort of thrash against it and then finish it. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's difficult, it's not endless. But yeah, it's so highly stylized and the animations look so good. I'm looking forward to getting to that. You?
I spoke about it before, Elden Ring.
Yeah, get back to it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I want to have concise thoughts. I want to I need to not put together something as like a project, but I need to put together a thing in my brain so I can know how I feel all the way.
Yeah. It's funny because there's a lot of defining experiences in that game that I would say come later on.
Yeah.
The harder bosses and when the plot changes a bit as well, it's important.
I'm worried I'm not going to be as high about the ending. Or rather, like some of the later half, and I think I'm concerned that it's going to drag me along a little bit, and I'm not going to enjoy being dragged.
I would say the end of the game becomes a bit more linear if you let it. So then it kind of becomes, you kind of go from dungeon to dungeon after a certain point. And so that, I don't know, you might not find that as much. You kind of, that linearity turns it into something like a Dark Souls game,
Right.
So you might appreciate that rather than, going to 8 crypts along the way.
I think the thing is with the games that I like a lot, like Dark Souls 1, like Bloodborne, like Demon Souls, I have a really strong idea of where I am in the game.
Yep.
I have either base camp or I have, defeating the 3, whatever the fuck they're called in Dark Souls to then go fight the old mate. There's there's the gate which you break down by defeating the
old mate.
Elder Souls, whatever the fuck they're called. Feeding him to the long neck.
Lord Souls. You need Lord Souls.
Yeah, all that nonsense, right? Bloodborne, less of that, but Bloodborne kind of brings you it pulls you through, it really hustles you through part of that stuff, and you still have an idea of what you're doing. Right. It that game gets bigger. But I feel like Elden Ring, I'm not always super clear, where my progress is being made. I understand there's the Elden, the ones that give me Elden Rings. I don't know what the fuck's happening in this game.
Did you know that the Elden Ring isn't actually a piece of jewelry?
What is it?
It's the runes. It is the Ring of Runes that you. So they each have a fragment of the Elden Ring, right? But the Elden Ring is this complex, like, combination of shapes, and so you're getting fragments of those shapes. But it's not a ring.
I don't know. There's the 4 lords that are around, or 5 lords or whatever, and they give you the big runes you can use.
Yeah,
like
the Elden runes.
Like they're not all like required, I don't think.
No, they're not.
And so at that point, like, I'm not sure what I need to do, I think, at times, which I think is for me, a negative.
Yeah. If you want the watch order, you just let me know, and I'll point you in the right direction.
Send me a link to, like, send me a game fact.
No, I wouldn't do that. But I could be like, oh, what have you just done? And what do you feel like doing next? And I could be like, head here.
Yeah, but last time I was complaining about not knowing what to do, you were complaining that you were in the middle of making that guide.
That's true, but I've made it all now. You kept asking me stuff when I was like literally like 2 hours away from hitting the publish button that answered all of your questions on a video.
My favorite thing about you having this gig is the internal joke I make to myself every time I play a game and don't know what to do. My immediate thought is, oh, I'll ask Kerry. But I won't go like, oh, maybe Kerry will know. What I'll do is, in my head, I'll say, Kerry should make a guide on this.
How often do you do that?
I mean, more often than I tell you, because otherwise you'd get really annoyed.
That's funny. I'm glad you have that enjoyment and save me from that suffering at the same time.
Ollie and I make that joke as well. Sometimes we'll be like, Kerry's made a guide on this. We don't know what to do.
And it's bloody Genshin Impact update.
Yeah, it's like something
Dauntless.
Something you'll never make a Dauntless. Something you'll never make a fucking guide on.
Yeah. I'm going to jump in here with another one. There's actually no games on here that I'm looking to get back to. These are all games I haven't been able to play yet.
Right.
Horizon? I really want to get to Horizon Forbidden West.
You should.
It looks so pretty. The first game with the PS5 patch was jaw-dropping on this monitor. Like, I remember I started it, and then I called Sam over from wherever they were in the house. I was like, look at this. And it was stunning. And I can't wait to get to it. But it's such a big commitment that I need just a bit of time, I think, further away from Elden Ring and Judgment to be able to happily invest into it.
I think it's a good next game after Guardians.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I can appreciate that.
It's like
Guardians isn't on this list, but it didn't come out this year. That's why.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
It's just in terms of it's light, it's funny, it's colorful. There's fun characters, and it's a good next step. It's not as funny, obviously, but it is a good romp.
Yeah, totally. I'm looking forward to it, and I know better now than to let myself get dragged down in the minutiae of that game for longer than I'm enjoying it.
This one's bigger, so I'm glad.
Yeah. I just found myself doing that with Judgment, where I was like, this is quick, and when I get bored, I could just hit X about 15 times to get through all the dialogue, and then a little bar goes up, and then I keep running through Kamurocho. What's your number 2, Jeremy?
Gran Turismo.
Yep. Nice. It's on my list too, but
for 2 reasons, I think, for me. One, because I think I just want to play more of that to sort of get into more of the nitty-gritty stuff, like some of the car culture-y stuff, which is a little bit wanky but still kind of fun. But also, I didn't realize I follow so many fucking people that are really into MotoGP and all that stuff, right? So many people are into F1, and I want to say a large portion of it was helped by the Netflix documentary that was instrumental to getting people understanding the reason people get into some of this stuff. So my plan is to watch that and play Gran Turismo.
That's funny.
I
like
think
that.
I think that'll be fun. I think it'll help both sides understand it. Interestingly enough,
both sides of your brain.
Yes, both sides of my brain. Interestingly enough, I think where this started was I watched a movie. I watched Ford versus Ferrari, directed by James Mangold. That movie is really good, and I don't know anything about cars, but that movie is really good.
Okay. So
that was a good into the kind of technological sport of it all. Because I like sport.
Really? Why is that, Jeremy?
That's such a funny way to end a sentence. I like competition. I think competition like this is fun and interesting, and I wish more games leaned into it. I have thoughts about that, but I'm not ready to go through them.
Okay, fair enough. Gran Turismo is on my list. Jumping ahead one. But just because I want to give it a go. That's just one where I just want to. I want to see what it looks like. I want to do a couple of races. I'm not looking for a get my license. Yeah, funny.
You don't have a choice.
Oh, you mean in the game, right?
Yes, sorry.
I thought that was a dig because I don't have my license.
No, I don't have my license either. No.
I know.
You need to get your license in the game before you can race.
Yeah, and that takes me back to A-Spec, GT3, watching my brother do that, and then me doing that a year or two later and being kind of bored by it. I want to try that again, but I don't expect myself to really love it.
Sure.
Another game I've got, games that we missed, and for reasons why I've written why wouldn't I want to play this game, is Babylon's Fall, which came out in March, by Platinum Games. Really well received. Thank you, Jeremy. Really well received by the well, no one really. I just put that in there for you, Jeremy.
Yeah, I know.
You're yeah, I get that. And then also Lego Star Wars I've got here, but that's just we don't want to get to this till Sam and I finish It Takes Two, and we definitely want to play that one together.
Yeah, nice.
Is this your final one now?
No, two.
Two. Sorry, pardon me. Go on.
I got two more. So I got Stanley Parable, just like I said before. I want to play it. I know I'll have a good time. I want to play it.
The end.
Finally, is the Stranger of Paradise. Final Fantasy Origin.
The Stranger.
Yeah, the Stranger of Paradise. The Final Fantasy Origin.
Yep.
I wanna see that game through. I think I might bump the difficulty all the way down until I get bored of the combat, and then I'll bump it up a little bit. I think that's the way to do that. I think for me at least, I'm gonna say
I think it might be the way for 80% of the audience to do that.
Maybe
from what I've heard.
I need to know that story. I need to know those characters. I think that is where where that begins, and honestly where that ends for me is I just need to know Jack.
You need to see Jack say, "I don't care who the fuck you are," a few more dozen times.
Yeah. I need more of that because it just seems so fun. It seems so stupid and so fun.
In a laugh at it way?
Yeah. I don't know. So I watched...
Kind of unironically, ironically?
Yeah, I watched Speed the other day. And that movie is really dumb and over the top. But I don't know if they thought that was just really cool at the time. But also, if it's really cool now, while it's dumb, does that make it not cool? No, it's still cool. So, I don't know.
Yep. Okay.
Speed's good.
Fair enough. Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise. Good. Ipso facto.
Yeah.
Ouroboros,
What's your last one?
My last one is Rogue Legacy 2.
Right.
I didn't hear great things about this during its early access period. That was my resounding thing. Was people came back to, they were like, not for me, not now, not yet. I'm like, oh, really? It's been so long and stuff like that. But it's got great reviews. And it's been long enough for me since I've really dived into a roguelike, but also long enough since playing this particular game, since playing Rogue Legacy.
Right.
I feel like you kind of play that game and you kind of solve all of its like component parts. You know, there's the challenge rooms, and there's the find the different bosses in each area, and go to each biome, and upgrade your castle. Like, I feel like I experienced all of that game, and I didn't need to go back to it for a long time. I feel like I'm ready to see their improvements, see its graphical updates, see what they've done gameplay-wise to change it up. I'm ready for a Rogue Legacy game.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've got just a couple of games here that are supposed to come out this year, and I just want your quick fire, or like some that are not even directly announced, but are we going to see them this year on the shelves?
Okay.
Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. The Ubisoft Avatar game.
No.
We're not seeing that, you're saying?
Not seeing it this year. Maybe in February.
Little Devil Inside.
Yes.
We are seeing that this year?
Not on shelves because it's independent, but yes, I think so.
Yeah, like is it being released? You're saying it is going to be released?
Yes. I'm not solid on that one.
You're not solid? You think it might get pushed?
I think it could go either way, honestly. We've seen so little of it. And it looks so development intensive.
Yeah, it does. Marvel's Midnight Suns.
I could see that arriving by the end of the year. It was meant to come out way earlier and just didn't, so maybe that's another one I could see, maybe being pushed for another 12 months from now, but like maybe it's here in 6.
And I think that's all I've got.
Okay. There's more in there that like do have like release windows, don't have dates.
Yeah.
God, it's been 9 months since PlayStation's PS5 showcase of 2021, where they gave us Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine.
Spider-Man 2 is meant to be next year.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm bringing it up. That's like, it seemed far enough away at the time, where it's like, oh, okay, that's ages away. But like, all of a sudden, 2023 is 6 months away.
Yeah.
Like, are we getting Spider-Man 2? Like, what is going to happen?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man.
That's really weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty messed up. And then like Wolverine at that point is only 3 years away. I don't know. Like that's who knows.
Yeah.
It's funny how many people talk about actively looking forward to Wolverine when it's clearly so far away.
We never know what the game is.
I know. Like just that it is in like pre-production. That was like the equivalent of like the Elder Scrolls 6 like title page that we got like 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
And we're not going to see it for another 4 or 5 or 6 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been an interesting year so far. It was meant to be way more stacked. We were supposed to have Starfield. We were supposed to have Breath of the Wild. And as it stands, like we may have seen this year's biggest releases already. It's really fascinating. The sort of bookend of open world strife has slipped past this year, and now the year's just open.
It's got wider.
Yeah, exactly. They just spread it out across more time, and that makes sense. It'll be interesting to see how the end of this year goes and how the start of next year goes. If you want to hear about that as it happens, you can listen to the MiniMapCast every week.